Chapter 7, Arcanum 5. The fifth Arcanum of the Tarot is the flaming pentagram, the blazing star. The pentagram represents the microcosmic human being. We can see from esoteric point of view that there is a struggle between the brain and sex. If sex overcomes the brain, then the star of 5 points, the human being, falls into the abyss with the feet pointing downwards and the head pointing upwards and the head pointing downwards. Then the human being transforms himself into an entity of darkness. This is the inverted star, the male goat of Mendez. The male goat represents black magic. The human figure with the head aiming downwards and the feet aiming upwards naturally represents a demon. All magical power is found within the star of 5 points. The whole science of Gnosis is found summarized in the flaming star. Many bodhisattvas, human souls of masters, have fallen inverted, like the 5-pointed star, with the superior ray aiming downwards and the 2 inferior rays aiming upwards. We must have complete cognizance of what a bodhisattva is. The superior triad of every immortal spirit of every human being is formed by Atman, Bodhi, and Manas. Number 1 is Atman, the being, the divine immortal spark, who has 2 souls that in esotericism are called Bodhi and Manas. Bodhi, the basic principle, the feminine spiritual soul, the superlative consciousness of the being. Manas, the masculine human soul. The master in himself is Atman, the being, Bodhi, and Manas. When a master comes into the world, he needs to take a human body. Then Atman sends Manas, his human soul, and Manas appears living in the physical world. This is what is called the Bodhisattva, who performs what has to be performed. Moreover, that which is called Bodhi can enter within Manas in order to do what has to be done. Moreover, that which is called Bodhi can enter within Manas in order to do what has to be done. Thus, we have the case of the Master Jehovah that sent his Bodhisattva to Chile. At the present time, 1970, he is a young boy who is living foolishly. So this master is only waiting for the Bodhisattva to mature in order to enter within him. Jehovah is the regent of the ancient moon. He is a great master that has been intentionally confused with Yahweh. Yahweh. I'll just say it like that. People say Yahweh, but Yahweh, who is the chief of the Black Lodge. So Yahweh tempted Jesus by offering him all of the world's treasures. And Jesus said, "Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God." Matthew chapter 4, line 7. And Yahweh can be represented by a star of 5 points with the feet aiming down, with the feet aiming upwards, the head aiming downwards. A bodhisattva that allows him so this is where things become very bad. A bodhisattva that allows himself to fall is converted into a black magician, a great, terrible black magician. If he does not raise himself up, he will enter into a very difficult and more bitter incarnation, suffering frightfully. If he does not rise up at the end of many incarnations, each time more difficult, he will be sent to the infernal worlds, being accused of 3 crimes. The first, to have assassinated the Buddha. Second, to have dishonored the gods. And third, to have performed diverse crimes of minor value. Madame Blavatsky explains very well what a bodhisattva is, but her followers do not understand her. Yeah, I'm going to add here, by the way, that a fallen bodhisattva is a terrible, how do I say, kind of person, a terrible entity, because you're losing enormous privilege as a bodhisattva. All the responsibility that took so long and so much work to gain, to earn, is lost, and this is why it terribly dishonors the gods. It's a greater crime than, you know, a simple elemental person or human going through the same process, and so the karma is far worse. The consequence is much more severe. Not only that, but since bodhisattvas, the thing is, bodhisattvas have solar bodies too. You can't be a bodhisattva without solar bodies. And solar bodies take millions of years to degenerate, to degrade in the underworld when they're being processed. So again, your stay there is multiplied by millions. Whereas a regular person, a simple animal elemental or a human elemental, whether they're liberated or not, because they don't have solar bodies, so they don't stay nearly as long down there when they are. Whoever, those beings that do go there, they don't stay as long. Something more like 500,000 years, not millions. In this present epoch, the majority of the bodhisattvas are fallen. They wander from life to life. We need to be humble in order to acquire wisdom. And after acquiring it, we need to be even more humble. I didn't know that. I didn't know that the majority of bodhisattvas are fallen. That's really unimaginable. That's a really terrible shame. The bodhisattvas fall because of sex, and they also rise up because of sex. Sex is the philosophical stone, the decapitation of Medusa, the Satan that we carry within. Or rather, the decapitation of Medusa, the Satan that we carry within, would be impossible without the precious treasury of the philosophical stone. Remember that Medusa is the maiden of evil, the psychological eye, whose head is covered with hissing vipers. In occult science, it is stated that the union of the Sophic mercury with the Sophic sulfur results in the holy philosophical stone. The ens seminis is the mercury, the sulfur is the sacred fire of love. Apollo and Diana, man and woman, must work in the great work, decapitating Medusa, defeating the tempting serpent, killing the lion of Nemea, taking the infernal dog of Cerberus from within the Tartarus. We must work in this great work through performing the 12 labors of Heracles. Heracles, the cosmic Christ, the son of Jupiter, or in other words, Io-Peter, and Alcmene performed the 12 labors. Number 1, capture and death. Let's see, hold on a second. Capture and death of the lion Nemea, the strength of the uncontrollable instincts and passion that devastates and devours everything. 2, destruction of the Hydra of Lerna, the psychological defects of the subconsciousness. 3, capturing the stag of Serenitia, Nitia, and the boar of Mount Erymantus, the lower animal passions. The cleaning of the Eugene or Augean stables, the submerged depths of the subconsciousness. 5, killing the birds of the lake of Steamphalion, which, like psychic aggregates from the depths of the unconsciousness with arrows. That's what she symbolizes. Number 6, the capturing of the bull of Crete, or Crete, passionate, thoughtless sexual impulses, infrahuman elements. 7, capturing the mares of King Diomedes, or Diomedes, passionate, infrahuman elements that are profoundly submerged in our unconscious abysses. 8, he eliminated the giant thief Kakus, the evil thief that squanders the sexual center in order to satisfy his animal passions. 9, the conquest of the girdle of Hippolyta, the feminine psychic aspect of our own interior nature. 10, the conquest of the cattle of Geryon, related to detachment. 11, the stealing of the golden apples from the garden of Hesperides. 12, the taking of the dog Trisipite, Cerberus, in other words, from its Plutonian dominions. The guide dog represents the sexual instinct. Heracles, the instructor of the world, has to perform the 12 labors, a complete work of pacification each time that he comes. The cosmic Christ practices what he preaches. When he is little, the tenebrous serpents of evil come to attack him. Herod persecutes him, and so on. The cosmic Christ demands the same as what he practices. He is the master of masters. He performs his works of purification and dissolution of the I, of the ego. In mythology, the efforts of the blowers or puffers are often spoken of. Those who try to take the stone to the summit, and after such efforts, the stone falls again. This indicates the efforts of those students that spill the ens seminis. The number 5 is the law. This arcanum represents the karma of the initiate. You must know that karma in its final synthesis serves in order to live out all the drama of the passion of our Lord Jesus Christ in the body of flesh and bone. It is necessary for people to understand what the Sanskrit word karma means. My friends, a law which is called karma exists. It is not irrelevant to assert that this word signifies the law of action and consequence. Obviously, a cause cannot exist without its effect. Neither can an effect exist without a cause. The law of the scale, the terrible law of karma, governs everything created. Every cause converts itself into an effect, and every effect transforms itself into a cause. You must comprehend what the law of compensation is. Everything that is done must be paid for a cause without an effect does not exist, neither an effect without a cause. Liberty and free will have been granted unto us, and we can do as we wish. However, it is clear that we must answer for all our deeds before God. Any action of our life, good or evil, has its consequences. The law of action and consequence governs the course of our varied existences, and each life is the result of the previous one. To integrally comprehend the basis and modus operandi of the law of karma is indispensable in order to orient the ship of our life in a very positive and edifying manner throughout all of the diverse levels of life. Karma is the law of compensation, not of vengeance. There are some who confuse this law, cosmic law with detriment and even with fatality, believing that everything that happens to the human being life is inexorably determined beforehand. Well, it is true that the acts of the human being are determined by inheritance, education, and the environment. Yet it is also true that the human being has free will and can modify his actions and educate his character, to form superior habits, to fight against weaknesses, to fertilize virtues, and so on. Karma is a medicine that is applied unto us for our own good. But disgracefully, instead of bowing with reverence before the eternal living God, people protest, blaspheme, they justify themselves, they stubbornly excuse themselves and wash their hands like Pilate. Karma is not modified with such protests. On the contrary, it becomes harder and more severe. When one comes into this world, one carries his own destiny. Some are born on down-filled mattresses, and others are born in disgrace. If we murdered in our previous existence, now we will be murdered. If we previously had hurt someone, now we will be hurt. If we stole, now we will be robbed. And, quote, with the same measurement that we measure others, we will be measured, end quote. We demand loyalty from our spouse, while in this life and in previous lives we have been adulterers. We ask for love when we have previously been pitiless and cruel. We ask for comprehension when we never previously comprehended anyone, when we never learned the point of view of another. We long for immense joy when we have always been in the origin of many disgraces. We'd like to have been born in a very beautiful home and with many comforts, when in other existences we did not know how to give to our children a good home and beauty. We protest against the insulters when we were always insulting those that surrounded us. We want our children to obey us when we never knew how to obey our parents. Slander bothers us terribly while we were always slandering others, and the world is filled with pain because of it. Gossiping disgusts us. We do not want anyone to murmur against us. Meanwhile, we always have been engaged in gossiping and rumors, speaking evil of our neighbors and mortifying the life of others. In other words, we always demand what we have never given. We have always been saved in other lives, and we deserve the worst. But we suppose that the best should be granted to us. Fortunately, my dear friends, justice and mercy are the two main columns of the universal white fraternity. Justice without mercy is tyranny. Mercy without justice is tolerance and complacence with guilt. Karma is negotiable, and this is something that can greatly surprise the henchmen of the diverse orthodox schools. Certainly, many pseudo-esotericists and pseudo-occultists have become great pessimists in regard to the law of action and consequence. They mistakenly assume that this law unfolds itself in a mechanical, automatic, and cruel way. These erudites believe that it is not possible to alter this law. But I sincerely regret to have to disagree with this way of thinking. The law of action and consequence, the nemesis of existence, is not negotiable. Then where would divine mercy be? Frankly, I cannot accept cruelty within divinity. The reality, that which is perfection, that which has diverse names such as Tao, Om, Inri, Sein, Allah, Brahma, God, or better if called gods, etc., in no way could be without mercy. It is not cruel or with tyranny, etc. As a result of this, I repeat in an emphatic way that karma is negotiable. To modify our own destiny is possible because, quote, when an inferior law is transcended by a superior law, the superior law washes away the inferior law, end quote. By modifying the cause, the effect is modified. The lion of the law is fought with the scale. But if we put our good deeds on the one plate of the scale, and in the other we put our evil deeds, both plates must weigh the same, or some disequilibrium will exist. If the plate with evil actions weighs more, then we must put good deeds on the plate with the good actions, with the purpose of inclining the scale towards our favor. Thus, in this way, we will cancel karma. Perform good deeds in order to pay your debts. Remember that payment does not only have to be with pain, but can also be paid with the performing of good deeds. Now you will comprehend, my good friends, how marvelous it is to perform good deeds. There is no doubt that right thoughts, right feelings, and right actions are the best of the negotiations. We must never protest against karma. What is important is to know how to negotiate it. Disgracefully, when people are found in great despair, the only thing that occurs unto them is to wash their hands like Pilate, saying that they did not do anything bad, that they are not guilty, that they are just souls, etc., etc., etc. Those who are in misery, I say to them that they should examine their own conduct, that they must judge themselves, that they should sit on the bench of the accused, at least for a moment. Thus, after strictly analyzing themselves, they must modify their conduct. If those who are found without a job would become chaste, infinitely charitable, peaceful, and 100% helpful they obviously would radically alter the cause of their disgrace, consequently modifying the effect in itself. To alter an effect is not possible if the previous cause that created it has not been radically modified. As we have already stated, there is no effect without a cause, neither a cause without an effect. We must always work without expecting any rewards, always with infinite love towards humanity. Thus, we alter those evil causes that originated evil effects. There is no doubt that misery has its cause in alcoholism, filthy lust, violence, adultery, squandering, avarice, and so on. Do you want to be healed? Then heal others. Are some of your relatives in jail? Then exert yourself for the freedom of others. Are you hungry? Then share your bread with those who are in a worse position than you. And so on. Many people who suffer only remember their bitterness and wish to find a remedy, but they do not remember the suffering of others. Neither do they remotely think of remedying the needs of their neighbors. Their existence in this egotistical state is worthless. So the only thing that they achieve is the aggravation of their suffering. If those people would think of others, serve their neighbors, feed the hungry, give a drink to the thirsty, dress the naked, teach those who are ignorant, and so on, then it would be clear. They would be putting good deeds in the plate of the cosmic scale. The scale would then incline towards their favor. Thus, they would alter their destiny, and good luck would come in their favor. In other words, all of their necessities would be remedied. All of their necessities would be remedied. But people are very selfish. This is the reason for their suffering. No one remembers God nor their fellow men, except when they are in desperation. This is something that the whole world has proven for themselves. Thus, this is the state of our humanity. Disgracefully, my dear friends, this ego that each one of us carries within does exactly the contrary that we have stated here. Because of such reasons, the reduction of the myself to cosmic dust is considered urgent, unpostponable, and undelayable. Let us think for a moment of the humanoid multitudes that populate the face of the earth. They suffer the unspeakable. They are victims of their own errors. If they did not have ego, they would not have those errors, nor would they suffer the consequences of such errors. The unique thing required in order to have the right to true happiness is, before all, to not have this ego. Certainly, when psychic aggregates, the inhuman elements that make us so horrible and evil, do not exist within us, then the payment of karma is non-existent. Thus, the result is happiness. Certainly, when psychic aggregates, the inhuman elements that make us so horrible and evil, do not exist within us, then the payment of karma is non-existent. Thus, the result is happiness. It is important to know that when we have radically eliminated the ego, the possibility of delinquency remains annihilated. As a consequence, karma can be forgiven. The law of karma. The law of karma, this law of the cosmic scale, is not a blind law. A credit can also be solicited from the masters of karma. This is something that many ignore, although it is urgent to know that every credit must be paid with good deeds. If it is not paid in such a way, then the law collects it with supreme pain. We need to make ourselves conscious of our own karma. This is only possible through the state of alert novelty. Every effect in life, every event has its cause in a previous life, but we need to become cognizant of this. Every moment of happiness or pain must be continued into meditation, with a quiet mind and in profound silence. then the result is the experience of the same event in a previous life. Therefore, we become conscious of the cause of that event, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant. The one who awakens consciousness can travel with his internal bodies out of the physical body with complete conscious will. Thus one can study his own book of destiny in the temple of Anubis and his 42 judges. Read this again. Interesting. Thus, one can study his own book of destiny in the temple of Anubis and his 42 judges. The chief priest of the tribunal of karma is the great master Anubis. The temple of Anubis, the supreme regent of karma, is in the molecular world. This world is called the astral world by many people. Only the terror of love and justice reign in this tribunal. In this temple, a book of debris and expenditures exists for each human being, in which is written daily, in detail, good and evil actions. The good actions are represented by rare coins that the masters accumulate on behalf of the men and women that perform these good deeds. Defense lawyers are also found in this tribunal, yet everything must be paid. Nothing is granted as a gift. The one that has good deeds pays and does well in his affairs. The granted credits are paid with unrewarded good deeds and inspired love towards those that suffer. The masters of karma are conscious judges that live in the jinn state. We constantly have to perform good deeds in order to have currency to pay our debts of this life and previous lives. All the actions of the human being are controlled by laws. Some laws are superior, others are inferior. All of the laws are summarized within love. An action of love cancels past actions that were inspired by inferior laws. This is why, upon speaking of love, the Master Paul stated, "Love suffereth long and is kind. Love envieth not. Love vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things." 1 Corinthians chapter 13, lines 4 to 7. The masters of karma use a sacred mask in the form of a jackal's head or a plumed wolf when they are officiating as judges. With this mask, they present themselves to the initiates in the internal worlds. This is the cruelty of the law of love. To negotiate with the lords of the law is possible through meditation. Pray, meditate, and concentrate yourself on Anubis, the most exalted region of the good law. All of the doors are closed for the unworthy except for the door of repentance. Ask, and it will be granted unto you. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Synthesis. Karma is paid not only for the evil that is done, but also for the good that could be done, yet is left undone. Each evil action is a bill of exchange that we sign in order to pay in the next life. When an inferior law is transcended by a superior law, the superior law washes away the inferior law. Let no one cheat himself. Whatever a human being sows, he will reap later, and his actions will follow him. Galatians chapter 6, line 7. The lords of karma in the tribunals of objective justice judge souls for their deeds, for their concrete, clear, and definitive facts, and never for their good intentions. Results always speak for themselves. Good intentions are worthless if the facts are disastrous. During the esoteric initiatic processes of the fire, I had to comprehend in a complete way the following statements. The lion of the law is fought with the scale. Whosoever has capital with which to pay, pays and does well in their negotiations. Whosoever does not have capital to pay with, must pay with pain. Perform good deeds so that your debts can be paid.